You know, I just saw this 11-year-old girl, and she was begging her mom for the truth. And she was even trying to use this rationale. Well, I'm going to be a mom, and what am I supposed to do? You know, can you just tell me the truth? I mean, it was so sad, really, honestly, because as this little girl is sitting there begging the truth from her mom, it was like I just saw myself sitting there begging my husband for the truth, to stop lying to me. And, you know, it's like we were just lied to all the time from the time we're little. It's like it becomes like a natural part of our existence. Like I told my kids to stand to lie when they were little. I don't think I carried it on. Like this woman, this 11-year-old girl, she's 11 years old. And she's sitting here begging her mom for the truth. Like she's looking for you to be honest with her. And this mom just keeps laughing at her. Laughing and videoing it. And then she starts telling her, well, yeah, he's real if you believe. You have to believe and he's real. So, oh my God. Oh my God. I would think at the point where your kid is sitting there begging for the truth, probably it's a good idea to tell them the truth, not play games anymore. Like we're all wanting the truth. The truth needs to come out about everything, you know, from the little kids all the way up. And there's such an attack on children. Like, you know, I think, you know, when I was talking yesterday about the different groups and which ones got which stuff, which, you know, I do have to just say that when they did this, this I think it was around when they started doing millennials, is when all of a sudden they added on this empty group right in here. It was between the Gen X and between the boomers. The group I was in, we were just kind of like, you know, a nothing group, which I know is when they started the astronaut food on me as a kid. And so they were already giving us total artificial food, margarine, Miracle Whip, Sunny D, Tang, fucking Tang. It was like orange Kool-Aid. And that's what the astronauts drink. And, you know, here's our moms. Here, this is healthy. This is nutritious. Like, have some Kool-Aid, but don't forget to drink your Tang. God damn. Like, it's mental. And food, you know, it was gross. It was all like canned peas and liver. And, man, the food was really sickening. And there's no wonder I was so picky. It's like, oh. I was like, ugh. I couldn't eat. There was so many things, and my mom would cook, and it was just, ugh. At least they, you know, accepted me being picky at some point, I think. But there was definitely, it was during the time where you sat there and you finished your plate. Whatever was on your plate, you better finish it. You know, and that's where you start chewing it and spitting in your hand. That's gross too. So anyways, you know, this whole thing with that generation, then it was like they kind of divided us, and they put half of us in Boomer and half of us in Gen X. So some of the Gen X people are older. So when I see someone saying, you know, I'm Gen X, they could just be a few years younger than me. But it's just, you know, that they're categorized in this other generation. But I'm always just like, man, Gen X people it's a pretty, I mean, there's like hardcore, you know, tons of makeup, rocker chicks. And then you got women who look, you know, like little old grandmas. So it's very, but I definitely, and I saw another thing. I guess there's a documentary out right now. I saw somebody talking about that is, some about the 90s or the 80s. I can't remember which it was, because I always say the 80s and 90s. But the 80s or the 90s was when everything turned to go such a dark direction on purpose or whatever. And I said that too, because I think, so how I kind of see it is after, because the Hitler situation, that was, there was three big motivators for us to wake up that was pushing on humanity. And that was the first one, from what I understand. I don't remember the other two. I think we're in the third one. I don't remember the other one. But we're already in this one. So, but it didn't start, obviously, with what happens right now. It happened, maybe it was 2016. I think it was 2020. But anyways, so, and so much stuff comes from, but there was a lot that was being disclosed so that we would wake up. And then after that, I think, that at some point, because then they had the 50s and 60s, the 50s, like my mom and them, they were that greasers, like in Greece, the guys with the slick back hair standing out in front of their cool cars. She's like, that was like what all the girls, the guys would line up out and with their cars, and the girls would all, go by carrying their school books and stuff. It was like this different kind of time, but it still seems like distracted, kind of like, making the best of it. But those parents that raised them were from the war. So there was and those parents were kids or were raised by people of the Depression. So then, however, they're reacting to the world. But once it got to the 60s, and then they started trying to pull out this other war, then, there started being the Great Division. So that one, the Hitler one, it did mark a lot of people, a lot of families and stuff, where people were like, I'm not fighting these wars for these people. So it became divisive, and, a lot of fighting for their rights. And the thing is how, women stop, like, I'm not wearing a bra. I'm not gonna just conform into this person and that you tell me. But see, then they brought in, what's her name? Did a movie recently too with fucking, of course, Jennifer Aniston playing her, because she's one of the progressive to show you how to be, I can't think, a spokesperson, whatever. And so Gloria Steinem, so they brought her in to shift, to get the women directed on their rights. They're always like coming in, trying to get people, like, look how they use BLM, rights. Look at these people. They're being not their right. They just get this fighting and arguing going. Because whatever it was I had seen, how they took all the slaves. So they had us, white people slaves, and then they had the dark people slaves. But then they needed, they didn't want those slaves to get together and be like, hey, you know what? We could take over. There's one of them, but we got all of us. So that is why they took one group and put them on the horses to man the other group, because they had to create division between the two groups immediately to keep themselves safe. And then they just continue and perpetuate that throughout time, over and over and over. So that during the 60s and stuff, where it became more about where people didn't want to go do something just because the government said, a lot more started being anti-government. And then and in the 70s, we went through this really patriotic time, and it was the bicentennial, but we were also going through so much stuff, like the gas lines. I'm trying to think when gas and cigarettes started going up, because there was a space back there where it kind of went up, like from $0.25 a pack to 50 cents or something. It was a big jump. And then gas, there was an ordeal. So, we're going through all of that stuff, I think, so that they can keep people distracted, make it hard on them so they can't stay focused on what they're doing, you know, and get more people on board with them. So they have to constantly, you know, cause chaos. And then, however it was, because the CIA was already gone, you know, dark by the time they killed, you know, the guy, all the records are released about that. It's like, there's no question anymore about that. He was killed by them. And specifically, I think, Senior Bush. So, so they had already started the misinformation campaign and the conspiracy theorist titles and stuff like that. So they did that all in there. But then they started with, and they were already doing testing because they were already spraying in the sky. Like all this stuff goes way back. There's nothing, like any of this stuff is new. It's all just so extreme because it's so we can see. And plus they've sped up because they're trying to, you know, follow their agenda. But that is all part of like this natural occurring energy. Like they don't have any choice. Like their stuff is speeding up because everything is speeding up. Because it's like the, like what I said yesterday with this energetic field kind of like, and then it's weird because like energy has like, there's so much movement. And I just saw this coolest thing. It was something, I think it was showing something through different lenses or something. And some of it just looked like color and stuff swirling. I was like, that is what it is. Everything is color and stuff swirling. And we create this. We see this. This whole reality is made by us. Like, and what's weird too is like, nothing outside exists. Only this exists until I open the curtains and look outside. And it's outside that it exists because I think it does and I see what I believe is out there. So, it's so trippy when you start really understanding all this stuff. But, so in that time is when they really started with the CIA with the selling drugs and that whole thing, because that is when they did with the Manson family. And that out there at that Spawn Ranch, so it already had connections to Hollywood because they went out there and filmed on it. And then all these hippies were staying out there. And Charles Manson, he was a real social climber. He wanted to be in the music industry. And he was, you know, small, tiny, insecure. You know, a lot of people, I think, back then were just kind of like, I don't know if they just smoked a lot of weed and did a lot of acid, but they just had a certain kind of just like, you know, it was just a different way that people were. I don't know how to explain it. Because it wasn't just like they were just out of it. They just didn't care so much. They were just more free and stuff in their minds. And sharing information, nature, you know, it was more deeper. I don't know how to explain it, but people were just different. And I like, I mean, at home, even my mom would get together with her siblings and practice doing ESP and stuff. Like, it was just different. And then they started with the drug thing. And, you know, that Charles is a perfect pansy for them, like ex-criminal. And so, and then he had so much influence all over all these people. A lot of people strung out. So they started testing a whole bunch of drugs and drug cocktails on them. And then they went out and did the killing and stuff. And then they had to hurry and say, hey, oh, we don't know anything about it. These people are crazy. There's a cult. It's a cult. Everybody be scared. It's a cult. So, you know, and you know, it wouldn't even surprise me if they went out and did more crimes and then blamed it on them. I mean, you know, it's come out now about how they have their cleaners. They go out and clean up an incident, clean up a scene, and create a story. So, you know, that goes and goes, you know, all the time. So, I mean, it's been done with, I think it's been done with a lot of people. I think a lot of powerful men his partner, girlfriend, lover, whatever has been done in to show them that they better shut their fucking mouth. And, that's a big burden, I think, for some people to carry. Yeah, because it is hard to feel responsible for something tragic to happen to somebody else. But I think everybody's got to keep in mind, that it is destiny. And I saw this girl, she would do this really cool video and she's a spiritual, I've seen her videos before, but so she was traveling with her, I think her boyfriend, fiance, might be her husband, I don't know, her fella, and to his parents' house. And so she said that she asked something of the dad, and as soon as the dad answered, the son and the dad got in a big fight, and they started arguing about this and got really tense. And so she said, man, I felt so bad. I felt so guilty. Like, man, you shouldn't have said that. You should just keep your mouth shut. And then she goes, no, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. I was supposed to say that. So that was supposed to happen. I was supposed to deal with the emotions that came up from that. They were supposed to deal with the emotions that came up from them. And that's what I'm saying is, you're supposed to go in the flow. Like, I've really come to realize not to overthink stuff like that. Like, I should do this different. I should do that different. No, you got to be your true self. And the more you tune in, even if they tell you to say something where it's like, oh God, should I say that? You don't know what this person is going through. Because I saw this other woman, and she said she was in the grocery store and she kept noticing this lady, and she just seemed like such a good mom, and she just thought the lady seemed really sweet and like a good mom and stuff. And so she kept running back into this woman, and she kept feeling like, she just felt something towards this woman or whatever. So she went out to her car, puts her stuff in, and she sees that woman going and putting her stuff in her car, and real loud in her head, she heard them tell her, go tell her. And she's like, oh, I don't want to go over there and tell her. And they get over there and tell her. So she said she walked over in the parking lot, and she said, hey, I saw you in the store. I just want to tell you, I just think you just seem like the sweetest, nicest mom. I love how you interacted with your child. She said, it's going to make me cry. She said, I get so emotional about stuff. She said that a woman just burst into tears and started saying, you just have no idea how bad I needed to hear that. Because we don't. There is watchers, there are seers, there are overseers of this realm. And when you tune in and you listen and you trust and you become vulnerable and you take chances and stuff, like you hear that and you go say it, you are helping somebody, you are being worked through, just like how that guy who's been looking for his brother, I kept seeing his videos and seeing him, and I went on and said on one of them, because he was sure somebody is helping his brother hide out, and he's on this, I'm going to find him and stuff. And I was like, I think your brother was saying thank you from the other side and was using that person to interact with you. And like, people don't realize that, spirits are around us all the time, and they can put something in someone's head so that someone says that, just like that lady. And so this guy walking around, and so many people have been having these weird things where somebody comes up and says something, and then they try and find him, and the person doesn't exist and stuff. So, there's a certain magic around here, and people have to see. But, I think in the 80s and 90s is when they really came in with the drugs and whatever with that generation. And it's so funny, too, because I heard this woman, and I always think she looks older than me, but I don't know her age or anything. She could be, my exact same age, but she always is talking about she's a Gen Xer. And she's always like, the Gen Xers, we had to, our parents didn't even know to call us in. The TV had to tell them to call us in at 10 o'clock at night. And I was just like, because that was just the way it was back then. The TV would always say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? and most of us knew, like, if the street lights came on, you better get your ass in the house. So I don't, I don't know. I don't know everybody's life. I don't know everybody's parents. Maybe some parents didn't tell their kids to come home, and those parents, but I think most of us knew the general rule. Like, when the streets come on, the street lights come on, that's like time to go in the house. That's like curfew time. It's too dark to be outside. The street lights are on. It's time to go in the house. It was just, and then they are always like, well, we weren't allowed to be in the house. Well, it was just the way it was back then. Why would you be in the house? There was nothing going on in the house. Your mom walking around talking on the phone to her friends or cleaning or whatever. Why would you be in the house when everybody's outside? The kids, we ran free. We ran around. We rode our bikes. We didn't have people up on our, we were getting to actually experience life. And so it's just weird when I hear people talk about it in such a negative way. It's like, man, my parents were teenagers, so, and I had a bunch of siblings, but everybody in the neighborhood, they all had parents, older parents than mine, and everybody, we all did the same things. So I don't know. To me, it was just a different time. A lot of people had teenage parents back then too. So, I'm not the only one with that. And if a girl got pregnant back then you fucking damn well got married. And so, things were just a lot different. And it's so weird just how, like, I saw this girl saying, you're not a hero because you went and removed a fetus. You're a hero when you put your life aside and raise a child. And I think, that is true, because I believe God gives you, or you, because when I'm talking about God, I'm talking about my higher self. I'm not talking about the whole entire universe, although the whole entire universe has your higher self as a part of the whole universe. But it's like a step up from my self is my higher self, my advanced self, my future self, the self of me that has already lived that experience, that is speaking back to me to help me get through the experience, to direct me and show me as long as I'm listening. And then you also have all these other guides around you, grandparents, ancestors, beings from other places, all sorts of beings and spirits and entities around you who are whispering at you or guiding you or moving something out of your way. It's so crazy when I even hear people like, they think somehow they were saved and, that they're a miracle and stuff. That there's just so much that people just don't understand about how this place works. And it's so weird that I can see it so clearly. And then, but I would be a crazy person while everybody else just scurries around playing in the game, completely oblivious to what's happening. And I'm telling you, like, what's happening is horrible. Horrible. Like, I'll really try and not cry through this. But it's fucked up, dude. Again, and it really, like, our weather here is hellacious. Like, it was still so deep in snow, so icy. And in the footage I've seen of people in Seattle, it's like kind of clown show. I mean, there are so many cars just going down the hills and slamming into cars and stuff like that. But people couldn't walk. People were crawling. People were just sliding down the hills. There were people out there sliding down on purpose. It seems so dangerous. I saw one car sliding and a person, and they barely missed each other. It's like, what in the hell with these people? Like, it's so weird. Just like all these people, like, the roads are total shit. The weather is total shit. And you're going to go out and drive. Like, oh, I got to go get my last minute stocking stuffers. I got to get over to so-and-so's house. They're having drinks and eggnog and presents. Like, it is this inability of consciousness. Like what I was talking about all that way back, like a year and a half ago, when I started noticing it. The thing with the gate was really significant to me when that whole situation with my neighbor. And I kept, because before when Stella would go over in their yard and they kept leaving their gate open. And so I started shutting the way so Stella couldn't go over there. And then she got like I was being rude or something. I was like, your gate is open. And she kept calling me a liar. It's like, I could see your gate is. Why would I lie about that? It's like, what? Why? And so that went on for weeks. And she was getting more and more just like looking at me like with this like total disgust. And then she became like this good friend with this other lady, and they would all these couples sit out there, never invited me or anything. Like I knew I was being and I was okay with it. I was like, I'm not desperate, I could care less. It is just you notice, because before I was being invited over all the time. And then it was like, okay, so she thinks I'm a liar. So that's coming from because she thinks I support Trump. So all Trump, I'm a liar and a racist. Because she'd already had said that earlier about other people who support that. That's the way she looked at it. And so I was like, well, I support him and I'm not. But that it didn't work that way. In their minds, you are. You just don't know you are. So you're a racist liar. You just are unaware of it. But luckily, because I have so much awareness, I can see you are. That was more like how it was. I was like, okay, this just gets weirder and weirder. So they cannot see you past their biases. So whatever they see, whatever they're projecting out, whatever they're focused on, that's all they see. So they no more see you and what you're saying and what you're acting like, and what any of you, it no longer is real. It's only from what they're projecting out. And so that became so clear to me. And then I kept like questioning, like, what in the hell? Like, why can't she see her gate is open? Like, I mean, that's a whole nother level. Not only are you calling me names and stuff based on a bias, but then, and that was the cool thing too, because I kept on hearing her calling me a liar. And I kept being like, I know she is calling me a liar. I know she thinks I'm a liar. And, but she wasn't saying it. She just kept looking at me with this look. And I could hear everything she was saying and thinking. And then, I was like a couple weeks later when she actually said it. And I was like, it felt so good to me because I was like, oh, I knew it. I knew I wasn't crazy. And so then, but the whole thing with the awareness, and that is when I started being like, oh, that is what's going. That's when I put it together with the chakras and the lower chakras and the autopilot. And that is where I started then seeing, oh my God, all these motherfuckers are on autopilot. None of them are aware of what's going on in the world. They keep themselves unaware. And, there's more stuff about that CIA NPC thing. Because those of us because the middle group is the biggest group. There's the fringe group that is dark and the fringe group that sees the truth. And the fringe group that sees the truth, see, we were all shut down. And so then the other group went hard on these other people to confuse them. And that's why so many got these, because they trusted them and they couldn't hear us. And so when the shift go, and so many people are just so fucking rude about it, man. Like, this broke my heart too, is I saw this woman, she was religious. So many, oh my gosh, so many fucking religious people out there. And she was talking about, she was on a live, and it seems like it was like a Zoom live or something, because people could see each other. And it was some sort of, I think it was like a Bible study kind of group. And so this woman said that this girl in the group because the master of the group was started going hard on the mark of the beast, saying anybody who did that, you got the mark of the beast, you're going to hell. Sorry about it. You're going straight to hell. And so then this girl who was in this just breaks my fucking heart, dude. I swear to God. It was so hard. So hard because I see into people's pain. Like, I don't know what it is. How do I see so much more than other people see? God, it breaks my fucking heart. So that girl started questioning, and she was really, really upset. And she said, the woman who was telling the story said, you could see the look on her face. She was so like scared. And so she asked, and the woman said, yeah, you are. And so she left the conversation. Fuck. God, these people with their fucking religion. Such fucking bullshit. They're so fucking ego with their God. Well, look at that. Make somebody feel like that. God. In the way that people believe it. What? How? God damn, how? So, all these people, who are out there, who are waking up and trying to, and then they're being told stuff like that, like something's wrong with them and stuff. Like, something's wrong with all of us. Like, God, you ego fucking maniacs. Like, what in the hell? Like, how do you not see? Like, oh my God. But that is right there why you don't go through somebody else for your information. If she went and sat with herself, trusted herself, and listened to herself, spent time with herself, not searching out someone to tell me, somebody to give me what I'm looking for. If she sat with herself, God would tell her, no, there is no hell. You're not going to hell. You're in hell. You're not going somewhere worse than you already are. And, and give them hope. But even if they hear that in themselves, then they think like, well, that's just me trying to make myself feel better. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. And I know people like that, they're going to be held accountable. Like, if anybody were going to go to hell in that situation, chick, it'd be you telling people stuff like that. That to me is these people who think that they're spreading the light or spreading the dark. God doesn't make people feel worse. Like, what? Oh, it's so sick. So motherfucking sick. There's, there's just such a divide happening with this, ego and pain and suffering and confusion and there's just so much of it. It's all blowing up. And I'll tell you what, the footage and shit I have seen with the storm, like, I've seen, for one thing, in Vegas, a whole nightclub, like, there's so much footage, a whole nightclub, you can look it up, saw, there was a space craft on top of the club, and everybody was out there doing videos and stuff. It's all over the place. And it just sat there. So, they're showing themselves more and more, because they are everywhere. The universe is revealing itself. And the truth is everything. And so we have to see all these different truths, And, in that case, people are not going to hell because they fucking, God damn. Oh my God, I cannot believe the arrogance in some of these people. I swear to God, I wish I could just talk to them face to face sometimes. But I'm sure their arrogance would get nowhere. I'm a crazy fool. I still get told on my things, you know. But anyways, so Buffalo is, so, when you see some of this footage, it looks like Krampus. What did I say? I said, this is our Krampus year. And it looks like Krampus. If you watch that movie, is what it looks like outside. Every video I've seen, every single one. It is so fucking scary looking. And so some of the videos I've seen, so this one guy, he was really upset. And he said that this is so sickening. He said, you just have no idea how sickening this is. He said there's dead people in the street. There's dead people in their cars. They're just going by and picking up dead bodies. And I saw this woman, and she might have, there's a lot with Buffalo. There's a lot with a bunch of different places. I've seen Texas ones. I've seen somebody turn on their faucet and it was dripping out water, and they had a ice going all the way up almost to the thing. As the water was coming down in their kitchen sink, it was just turning to ice. These people's houses are also cold because they've turned the power off on them again. And how many people I've seen shocked. How many people weren't prepared. I've seen people, this one woman going through her horror story of all this horrible stuff. And she was at a hotel with her 4 kids. And she said, man, I heard all these people talking about it on the internet and saying, get prepared, get prepared. And I didn't take it serious. I thought they were just being wacky. And I will never, ever not listen again. So a lot of people, I saw this one guy, and, you know, he was very flamboyant. He had long hair. And I just saw him as kind of probably somebody who's really caught up in his lifestyle, maybe the club scene, really young, and in the dark, walking around in his apartment by himself and scared shitless. He was scared shitless. He had no power, no electricity. It was freezing cold. He didn't know what to do. He was on there trying to ask somebody, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. How many people are going through that? Because it is the awakening to your soul. Your soul is trying to, like, there's so much darkness that has to occur, you know, for people to listen to themselves, to follow through. All these people just in their shallow, you know, run into Walmart to get their last minute shopping. And Walmart closed its doors and wouldn't let people in, although it was the only place that had power and heat. They wouldn't let people in because they're a corporation and the corporations are trying to kill us. So this one, she was totally panicked. This one woman, she was freaking out, and she was showing outside. It was total Krampus. And she couldn't open her door. The snow was so high up on her door. She had no way to get out of her house. She couldn't, somebody'd have to be on the outside and, you know, shovel her out of her house. And all these different houses apparently were like that. No power, locked in their houses, can't get out of their houses because of the snow. It just continues to snow, continues to blow wind. And I had seen one place where it was supposedly going to stop snow. It was the same as here. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, we're going to give you another 4 to 8 inches. And so, and then ours was just ice. And it is still, it's so ridiculous, man. None of it is real. It's all manufactured. At least I have seen tons and tons of people talking about that. All the people I keep seeing seem very aware that this is all manufactured. None of this is real. None of this is natural. That this is being done, and they're using the satellites, the chemicals, and all that stuff. So, she was saying, and I saw several people saying this, so many people, like just brokenhearted and just sick and don't know what to do. But she was like, her daughter and her kids were apparently on the way to mom's, like so many other people. All these people just out like, well, let's just hurry and get over there. And then the storm came in and trapped them all. And they couldn't go anywhere. And so they were all trapped in their cars. And this grandma was freaking out. She's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get out there. People are dying in their cars. You're trapped in your car. And there's no way to keep warm. And even if you were to turn on a thing to try and do your heater, the snow would clog your tailpipe. And all of the CO2 is going to go into your car and kill you. So, I'm sure there was people out there dying from that. And it's all out of ignorance. It's all out of trusting the system, not looking into things, not doing your homework, not doing research, not being aware. All of it. All of this stuff. And people, so many people out trapped. So many people out trapped, driving in the storm. Their car wrecks, and then they had to get out into the weather and walk in it. And to try and get somewhere safe. Like, there's people just dead on the street. There's no telling what is going to be under the ice. And this is going to be horrible. I'm sure there's going to be rotten corpses everywhere. I saw another one. What was this place? Louisiana. And, that's where I wanted to move. So it is Louisiana. The Louisiana stuff breaks my heart. It's like I just have some kind of attachment to it. But whatever with their storms, it's flooded. So the streets are flooded. And this guy who was showing the video was showing all these people trying to drive, and all their cars broke in the water. So he's like, you cannot drive when the waters get to a certain, but it's total chaos with the flood. Everywhere where the storm is hitting hard, it sounds super chaotic. I mean, it's wacky. People are out there trying to travel around because Christmas, But that is where the priorities lie. And that is why the universe is going to show you, you're going to risk your life to go out for a holiday. What are you looking for? What are you searching for? Why couldn't you find it at home? What is it you need? And that is you put yourself in a dangerous situation for what is it you're looking for. Like, this whole thing is to get you to question your priorities, to get you to see like what is important and what isn't important. And there's a ton of people who are leaving us right now, and there's going to be because there's going to be more stuff that is going to keep happening. Like, right after, who knows? I would assume they're going to melt the snow in Ohio by January 1st or 2nd, maybe by the 3rd for sure, because they're starting the purge there. I mean, they already set that up. Like in Illinois, they set up that's what it was. It was Illinois that set it up, that everything was no longer something you could be held for. So if you go kill somebody, well, okay, we'll talk to you about it later. And then Ohio, so then they just are closing everything. There's no police, there's no fire station, nothing. There's a lot of fucking, there's absolutely no way right now that there's fire and ambulances getting around in some of these places. There's no way. And then some of the places are saying, yeah, like there's no 911 to call. Like, you're on your own. And that is why, this whole time while I kept trying to speak out, but my voice has been silenced. And then you have to wonder, like, what is the universe doing? Well, they've told me, like, and I don't really get the whole impact. It's going to be impactful, I think, for one, the people who haven't been listening to anybody are ready to start listening, And then all of a sudden, and you know, I just don't know, like, because I have been so held back. So, you know, I mean, to them, then they'd be like, well, people who were speaking out, how were we supposed to hear them? But then that would be a part of it, you know, that would be the awakening to the censorship and what's been going on. So, you know, I don't know how all this is going to play out, but it's definitely, you know, this is going to, whatever, a lot of stuff is going to start happening. And, you know, I saw, like a chancellor or prime minister or something of the EU, and she was saying that they're really mad about America. America's putting themselves first again, and now they have jacked up the cost so much on power because we sell them power from our power grid. So we sell them power, and now we've taken their power from them. And so they have people who are freezing and starving in their homes all over Europe because we won't give them electricity. So they're ready to, I mean, they're fed up with us. Like all of these different, there's just a lot, you know, and America isn't Americans, you know, it's the leadership, it's the government and how they work with all the other governments to keep us all restricted and you know, to keep different groups in their place. Because remember, it's all restricting our movement and controlling our existence and testing on us and all this stuff. So, you know, all of that stuff is going on, and they do keep certain groups. It's all about the dividing and the control, you know? And I think most of the people, you know, I mean, I don't think that they think that it's Americans over here doing that. I think they know, like, Joe has shown himself to the world. So I think that most people, and I think most people are dealing with their own absurd government system. And everybody's seen that the government does not have our best interest in mind. The government wants control, or they don't want you here. And so, anyways, you know, this storm is, I think, is going to be, it is totally just a Krampus. It is such a cramp. And, but there is going to be a lot of people who are going to be transitioned out from this. Lots and lots of trauma, lots of horrible situations in family. Like that woman who was panicking and couldn't even get out of her house. Like she would have gone out in that storm and ran to her daughter's car and get them out of their car. Like she would done anything. Like, and I can totally relate as a grandma, as a mom, you know. And so, you know, people who are going to have their whole families are going to, just remember, just remember what I said about that, because it seems tragic to us here in this living situation of our reality, our perspective on reality. It seems really tragic, but it's really not. It really is, oh God, fuck. It really is beautiful for them all to go together. But the people who are left behind, you know, that's so much tragedy. And you know what, one thing too, is that's really trippy, is like, for instance, as a soul, like the woman who was panicked to get out to go get to her daughter and grandkids. Remember how I was talking about like the soul connection and the generational thing? Like her soul could be playing all those roles. So her soul could be playing her daughter, and the grandkids, and not have any awareness of it. Like, the game wouldn't work if you knew, and it would be really a lot of stimulation to try and absorb. So the game has to be played the way it's played. So she would be playing the part of all the whole generation thing, and then them leaving the game to push the other soul into the expansion. So, like, there's so much stuff, like, going on that is so above our understanding about souls and expansion and this whole universal, this is a huge expansion. That is why the sun and space and all of these other beings and stuff are all a part of this whole thing. And I don't mean space and outer space like that. I'm talking about just all this space, the inner earth, the outer earth, the water, all of it is all realms of beings and creatures and stuff. Like, there's a lot of footage with creatures, but that is one of the things too, like, you don't ever know, like, if those are CGI. Just that one person who keeps doing these shorts of these actresses going from younger to older, I was like, man, for all I know, this person isn't even getting the right pictures. Like, it's weird how some of these people look so different. And that, in this illusion of a world where you've got these stand-ins, CIAs, CGIs, clones, lookalikes. Like, I think Johnny Depp's lookalike goes around all the time pretending to be him. Like, who knows if that guy's even alive? Because I have heard bad stuff about him, man. It's very curious, but I've heard really bad about him. And so if some other ones just came in my mind when I said that. What was I saying? Anyways, all of this stuff is going to be very impactful. And then right away, it's going to bumper into, in some other places, I heard somebody saying something about, they really got it out for the East Coast, but I don't think we're done with the West Coast. I think that, because California is just as shallow and lost. I said when I was there, I was like, man, it's set up there. There's something big going to happen here. I keep thinking it's going to probably be that earthquake. There's going to be some big earthquake that's going to happen, is what I'm imagining. But I don't know. But those other people who have had those dreams and stuff have even said, this giant earthquake is going to go down in California. And for seeing how it's being so hit so hard on the East Coast, because it is, all of that shallow has to go deep. That's just, your soul doesn't want to be in the shallow. So, this is, it's like a natural occurrence. And, all the souls that come here are here for this. And it is, hard to really keep, I don't know, it's hard, because by the way it all appears is just nonstop tragedy happening around us. And it's so, so sad. But really, it's really beautiful, because these people are, even when they pass from here, you got to remember that they're not leaving. They're not gone. They just went in the other room. In the other room, then they're looking over everything that happened and seeing it from a new perspective. And if they're confused, they have guides there to help them to understand what they're seeing. And then seeing that will also expand them. So this is a whole expansion that is happening. It's not just, humans awakening. This is a universal expansion of consciousness of all of it. And, and that's what is opening up new worlds. And that is how we're going to have like this new earth, the new age, this age of Aquarius with heaven on earth, the golden age. And it's like it doesn't exist yet, but it's already happened. Like everything is, because I was thinking about this a lot, because so here it is, I really don't know if I can explain this right, make it sense, but so you are, because you got to remember your higher self is telling you about something that's already happened, but you haven't had it happen yet, but it's already happened. So once it's written, it's written. Once it's said, it's set. And so the stories are set. Your story is set when you go in to the game. You know, you can't go into a video game and start, you know, playing your own game different than the video game, right? And so that is like the same thing. So you come into the game, there's a set game, you're playing it. And so then, and it just weirds me out how much people think they have control over stuff. You don't have control over anything. Like, you have control over your attitude, but you don't have control over, you know, just like when the carport thing, because they told me that the, you know, the carport was going to fall and it was going to crash down on top of my car. And I could have went out and moved my car. I could have done, you know, different things. And so to me, I was like, well, then let's see how this works, because I'm not going to give that any energy. And if I don't give it any energy, it won't happen. Because I have people say that to me all the time. It won't, you don't give it energy, it won't happen. And so it's like, well, I'm not going to give it any energy. I'm not even going to acknowledge that. I'm not going, you know. So I gave it a whirl. And then an hour later or something, my thing is down on top of my car. My windshield's crunched. And you know, to me, things are supposed to happen the way they happen. Like the window being crunched. So, you know, that could lead me right to, I'm supposed to be at this place getting my windshield fixed when this other person walks past me and I energetically give them something and they go, and that whole interaction was just for that. Like, and that is where you got to get into the flow of like, don't let the little stuff stress you out, because it was supposed to happen. So even if I would have moved my car forward, a branch would have fallen and crushed into the windshield. Like, whatever's supposed to happen is always going to happen. And, you know, you can try and control things with your mind, but it is different than how people think or how people are being taught. It is a way you look at things. It's your attitude. It's your perception. The more you open your perception, but you don't have control over every little thing. It's a set thing. And, you have control over how you feel about things, how you look at things, how you treat people, and all of the things that you go through. So you have those opportunities, but you know, you can't just stop like the storm from coming or for your car to get crunched or any of those things just because you think it. Like, I've had people come in, oh, well, we all just have to think good weather so we can make it happen. It doesn't work that way. It is the consciousness. This was created before we came in. It's got to play out. So we can't just all sit here and go, okay, we're going to change it. If we were going to do that, then that's what it was supposed to be. That we were all going to do that and come together and do that. But everything is already happening. It happened. But then it's weird because it's like, what came first, kind of, you know? Because it all goes and it keeps going, and then how it all kind of swings back on itself, you know? And because you have the energy is always in movement, it's always going. I think that's where they come up with that earth spinning around and stuff. It's energy. And the energy is always moving. And just like the toroidal field thing and how it's going, and how the energy is, there's the shifting is the energy and going the other direction. And so I don't know. I mean, it's kind of trippy if you think about that Arctic blast coming out of that, the North Pole, like, because it's really a hole going down. It isn't. And it would be, how is it? Like, you'd have to go in and watch those things. I can't explain other people's stuff as well. I can watch somebody's stuff and see it and have, what makes sense to me makes sense to me. But, explaining all flat earth stuff is just, I would just say, go in and watch it, because that would really open your mind, watching some of the flat earth videos. Like, there's some really good ones. And, but anyways, so wherever the very beginning came from, how the souls, like what I was saying the other day, like it was like an energetic explosion. And then it was consciousness, or the energy that began to become consciousness. And then consciousness began to develop in more and more and more. And that was the whole expansion. And that was the expansion that we're in. But it's weird because things are, just like how everything is happening right now, because the past is happening at the same time as the future. Like, there isn't different time. It's different realms. And so it is, man, it's so hard to, because how you can see things and how to try and explain things is much harder. But it is, so, man, I just feel, maybe I'll get more clarity of how to explain it. I just know that, it's set. You can't change what is already meant to happen. What's meant to happen is meant to happen for that experience, for everyone who's going to be there to experience it, whatever the experience is. And you don't have control. You can't go in and change it. There's no reason to get frustrated and try and make something happen and then be upset, because you can't, because it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be that way. It has its own design, its own format, its own direction, and it's on a trajectory. And, you can hold on and just ride out the ride, or you can stand back, jump off, and stand there stomping your feet, trying to make things be the way you want them to be, and live in frustration and anger and resentment and, feeling bad about yourself, because then, you feel like you're failing somehow. But that is a misdirection, because you can't control it. You can't change it. You can't die before your time. You can't say it's not a miracle that saved you. It's just, it wasn't your time. You can't leave before your game is up. You have to stay because of all those little interactions, just like going to the windshield place and walking past that person. That had to happen. And I don't even know if that, I'm just pulling one out of my hat. And that is why I love that movie, Serendipity. I did watch it yesterday. It was like, we had no power all day yesterday. No, we had power. We had no internet. And so, I sat here. I even turned my chair and just watched the birds out the window. And so I was, what was I going to say about that? So, the no internet. Oh, so, okay. When I put on, I wanted to watch some Christmassy movie. And so I decided to watch Serendipity, because it always just makes me feel good, especially, when I'm watching, seeing all these people, and there's so much distress and so much pain and so much confusion and, so much, just the death. It is like the death of ignorance. It really is. Just a lot of people carry it because they don't want to question anything. They don't want to listen, but it has to be, they had to come in and play that part so that we could have this movement. So it had to play out that way. But I love in Serendipity how, these two people, they want to find each other. And because it keeps showing the two, because they had this chance meeting and this connection. And then, so they went about their lives, and then they wanted to meet each other. And so they start trying to force it. They start trying to, make something happen, and everything keeps going wrong. Nothing is working. Nothing is working. And then the way things work out, it's like complete design. Like, is every time, I swear to God, every time it gets this one part, I start crying, because the universe has a complete and total design to everything. Even if you feel like you are, your life has no purpose, there's no meaning, you have no value, everything has purpose and meaning and value. And it's all to help learn, for you to learn that, and to teach you about you. And so, everything is completely designed down to like the millisecond. Nothing is by accident. Nothing is by chance. Like, those are all, they made those words up, just like they had to make up schizophrenia and crazy. They make up stuff to mislead you. And, yesterday I was watching, before the power went out, early in the morning, I was watching these Christmas movies on Hallmark and Lifetime. And one of them, it was, they're just hokey, like, love stories, it's like the same story over and over and over with just different actors. But this one, it was, and they always got this, the Christmas show has to go on, and all this stuff. But this one with this Christmas show and all the manger and all this stuff, and I was like, man, all the story, like, look at how deep the stories they go to make up to control us. Like, is it no wonder people believe? Like, they just push and push their stories. And, I for all the stuff that I keep hearing about the Bible, and, because that whole thing is a huge one. The religious awakening is, it's crazy. You get involved in that group, because, there's a lot of women out there who were religious, who started seeing through the religion, and then started talking about, Christ and spirituality and stuff. And then the people start attacking them. And then these people start trying to tell them, but you got huge groups of that, tons of men and stuff, tons of people, doing all this research on the Bibles, and which one was written and translated by which king, and all sorts of stuff. And there's just so much lies and so much manipulation, so I don't know. I just was like, man, it's kind of just creepy. I was thinking about just some ridiculous story, and then some what story I think is going on right now. I got so much snot on my nose. The Three Little Pigs. Ah, man, when I was listening to that stuff yesterday, I was like, oh my God, this is the Three Little Pigs. Those of us who said, winter's coming, get ready, prepare. And, we did, and we're sitting here in our, but I'm telling you, yesterday when the wind was blowing and the trees were going and the ice, oh my God, it was total Krampus out there. It was so fucking creepy. I was like sitting here with the chair, and I'm staring up at the trees, and I'm like, oh my God, is this a good idea to be looking up here? I'm about to have a fucking heart attack. This is scary as shit. And this one big old giant tree that was just going crazy out there, I was like, oh, fuck. It's just like, oh, please go that way. And I'm like watching which way is it blowing. And it was like freaking me out. And then I saw my neighbor out at the street. She's got her thing on and all this, and she's got one of her dogs with her, and it's like blowing. Like, I'm not even shitting you. Like, if you've seen that movie Krampus, that's what it looked like outside, and all these other videos too. And so she's out there over by the street, and she's doing something, and then she keeps turning and yelling at her kids. That's what caught my attention, was there was a lot of screaming and yelling. And so I looked out, and then I saw her, and she's out there in the wind's blowing, and it's just like tree, and I was like, what in the hell? And I think she was out there trying to get service, and her husband had left earlier, so I don't know, she was trying to tell him to pick something up while he was in town, and it was an ordeal for him to get out. And then they left again yesterday. And then they're planning on going to Canada to see her sister today. And it's like, oh my God. I'm telling you, the people who live in the 3D world, they'll put up with anything, man. Not me. So, Ian, when we were talking the other day when the power had gone down, no, it was something with the storm. I don't know. It's just been whatever. And she had messaged me. And I said something, well, if the power goes down, because I start getting these, once it goes back up, I've got all these messages from my neighbors. It's like, you guys, my phone doesn't work with, there's no power. How is your, like, what? So I have messages from them. So I tell them each time, like, I don't have power. When you're messaging me, I'm not getting your messages, because when the power goes down, my phone won't work. And so she said, oh, well, I got the new 5G, which her and I have the same phone. But she's like, I got the 5G now, so mine works really good. So I'm telling you. Oh. I just picture on A Christmas Carol when he's standing out there and he opens his robe. This is ignorance and what's the other one? And it is like, there's so much stuff about, you know, the ignorance and the misleading and what people chase, and, you know, the shiny objects that people dedicate their lives to trying to get, and the shitty relationships they're willing to put up with because they think that's all there is, and, you know, stuffing their trauma and trying to hide who they are, and, you know, it's just so much that has to be purged out to go into this new reality. But anyways, it was just wacky. Like, I mean, my phone, I can't even fucking hold it in my hands without electrical, like, and they're thinking that's such a good thing. And then obviously, you know, she must have got the Ziply because she had to run out to the street to get close to her line, I guess. I don't know. I'm not doing that. I didn't even see him put in the lines. I didn't see him dig up the thing. I see him driving around, and I get their fucking flyers in the mail every day, like, to get them. But anyways, but that's what the people who are, you know, asleep believe. The G's good, and, you know, the G, the government, all of it. Like, I don't know. But when these people wake up from their slumber, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get nasty. And I think it's about to go down. You know, who knows? You know, tons and tons of people are just going through horrible, horrible traumas right now. It's not just in America. It's all over the whole globe, are going through horrible things. And so the smoke is going to be clearing. And then it's going to be where you're going to see all these people who are awake. And there's going to be a big thing in between, you know, of sadness and embarrassment. And, you know, this is something that is really, really getting to me. I don't even want to talk too much about it because I really don't want to throw people under the bus. And I know a lot of people are going to hear some of the stuff I've said, and they're going to feel like I threw them under the bus. And then, you know, I've never meant to throw anybody under the bus. But I believe that there has to be awareness to certain situations. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, if somebody crosses your path, like, you don't have to go out and look. You don't have to run around the streets looking for someone to help. But if somebody crosses your path, and then you aren't willing to help them, that is going to show a lot. That is going to be something. There's going to be some people that are going to, man, I don't know. It's very, very frustrating to me. Very frustrating. I'm it's like, what the fuck do you think life is about? You really think life is about, you know, what you can gain, what you can get, who you can screw over, and go, and people who don't even want to heal their own pain, in denial of others' pain. Like, man, there's a lot that is going to be coming up. Because it's going to be, you know, a couple of prick holes in some of these people's reality. And it's going to be the floodwaters are going to come in on them. And they're not going to see it. They're not expecting it. And they're not going to realize what's happening once, because it's a spiritual thing. And once that is, you know, once it's let in, it's a new game. And these people are not, I don't know, I've seen where people are like totally freaked out that they hear someone talking in their head. And then other people are like, oh my gosh, I heard it so loud. They told me real loud in my head. And so there's not going to be any getting away from it. And your spirit has no problem telling you that you're a real asshole. And really want you to get in there and look at, why are you such an asshole? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Because the whole thing, they want you to heal. Because we wouldn't be assholes to each other if we were healed. And, you know, it breaks my fucking heart to know what some people are going through. And that there's nobody there for them. Because all the other people are too fucking broken. And they can't. And, yeah, man. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like I've just got to be careful over some of the stuff what I say. So I'm so wheezy too. I'm so snotty and wheezy, and Stella motherfucking going out and eating the goddamn ice. She just keeps going out. She just keeps going and busting up the ice and sitting there and eating it. And then, I am not shitting you, she starts running around like she's on drugs. And then she comes in and she doesn't feel good. And you know something's in it because in some of these places where there's no power, the government's already told them, well, go out and get the ice and melt it and drink it. Drink the ice. Yeah, that sounds good. But people who haven't gotten any, you know, didn't get any water and weren't prepared. But I would say the good thing, you know, that we can think about is that we're already in it. So now, you know, if it's going to be, I don't know, from what I understand, it's different, like powers going out, but I don't think, I think over, man, I don't know, because remember, some of them said it would be a week, no power. Some said 10 days, no power. Some people have said 2 weeks. Some people have even said it could be a month you need to take care of yourself. And I think it's all going to be depending on where you are. And some of the places are hit so hard. And, you know, they're going to be, I don't know. I just say we're already in it. Shit is already going. And so everything's about to be changing. Like, this is it. Everything's about to be changing. And so, to me, it's just buckle up and stay true to your truth. And, you know, because there's going to be so much confusion. So much confusion. I mean, it's mind-boggling how many people are out there who were not. They're prepared, but, you know, I saw it coming. And, you know, the pileups and stuff, the people just, you know, going out, like, I got to get somewhere. I got to go somewhere. Who cares how dangerous it is? Let's just get going. It truly is. I can really see why these elites have said that people are sheep. They're cattle. They don't think for themselves. They just don't think for themselves. But things are about to change. And there's going to be, there's going to be a lot of people who are leaving and left. But the people who are here, there's going to be a lot of changes. So anyways, we just got to get through this and stay I mean, to me, it feels like there's so much. It feels like a drain right now. Like everything is just draining. Like our energy, it feels like way too excited. Like you got to remember in this tense time to make sure and take deep breaths, because that will help you feel so much more controlled. If you're not taking deep breaths, you're going to feel so much more anxious. So anyways, hopefully anybody who gets to see this, hopefully you're safe and, warm. And we just got to keep everybody else in our hopes and prayers, and, just sending out that love and positive vibration as all these souls are leaving, and, I'm sure it's a busy time, and I'm sure that is why there's been so many beings that have been around, like where people were saying there's so many beings around. Probably a lot of them were guides and stuff waiting for their people to pass. And I don't think that there's just millions of demons here waiting to take people's bodies over. That to me sounds like some sort of fear, like primitive thinking to me. But I think that's probably, I feel like these ones around me, I don't, because I've even said, like, when I'm sitting here and the trees are going, and I'm like, are y'all here to take me? Like, is that what's going on? Am I leaving here now? And, but I think, I would hope it would be a lot more abrupt than sitting here watching trees fucking come down on me. But anyways, I think some are also here as watching, protecting, like there's all sorts of things going on. But there is a lot here to, help people go to the other side. So anyways, just stay, and however it is that you meditate, positive, loving, and because there's a lot of souls all around us, a lot of souls in confusion and, not sure what's going on. I imagine that soul realm is pretty full right now. Like in the movies where it shows them all lining up, like, well, what's going on? Where am I? I was just driving down the road. Where am I now? How did I get here? So anyways, stay strong and stay in love and stay in unity. That was not my middle finger. Looked like my middle finger from the side. Stay in love and stay in unity. And, we'll get through this. Everybody will get through this in the way they're supposed to get through this. Just ride the flow of destiny. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.